Larry,
Yes, sir.
We're back.
Back makes it sound like, oh, we're here to stay. It's like this is the one night only show, folks. Hey, I was there. It's like with the goat in the keg of beer. Nobody else was drinking because they thought it was tainted.
Yeah. Well, look,
Party at the Moon Tower.
No one's listening to this on their podcast app. This is going to be a YouTube only exclusive. But
exclusive.
This will be the final episode of the Ant King frequency. And that would be where I insert the theme song. If I can find it. I don't have the raw files at all.
Well, you could always rip it from the...
a pre-existing version. Yeah, I just got to make sure there's no talk over it. I think on the... on some of the soundtrack episodes, the music episodes, we did...
There's that...
Yep.
Yeah, because you can always short it up, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's been wow. I mean, what's happened since March 2020? Since the last time we did one of these, man, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. I mean, we got flying cars finally, and jet packs, and we got med bays where you just go and lay in and they cure all your problems. Oh no. We
don't have to work anymore.
None of that.
We've got that universal income thing that the socialists keep talking about.
No. That's what the universal income is. We're going to tax you to death. We're going to monitor what you spend it on. And what about the billion? No, you don't pay attention to millionaire and billionaires that can live off their interest. Yeah. Where you're
no, they don't live off their, $50. They don't live off their interest. Their interest is fine. They live off our interest.
That's the thing. Yeah. They're vampires. They're blood-sucking vampires, and the
ones that go for the neck and the blood, they're the good ones. You want that. I'd prefer that than Blackstone and those other bastards.
At least he was upfront and honest with the way he looked and acted. Yeah. Same thing with Dracula. Well, Nosferatu more so than Dracula, because how could you get away from the fingers and the ears, the eyes, the face? But it's been It's been interesting past couple years, actually. It's, people say, it's that, I don't know where it comes from. I think it's probably from the Russian invasion of Chechnya, Grozny, back in around the year 2000.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't worry, my friend, as a friend, I know you're worried and you're upset and scared, but it's gonna get a lot worse. It's that and it's what it feels like. Yeah, it's like,
why the break? Why did we stop?
Well, first off,
I've got my reasons. What are yours?
Well, really, I mean, like I'd kept going, but it's just like I was, accommodating, and also it's like you do it for 7 years, and that's one thing. Like, this is a creative thing, and when it comes to creativity, I know I know what I can do. I know my own value. I know my abilities, where I'm weak at, where I'm strong, and I see occasions where I'm like, yeah, I'm better than that, and I'm happy to say it to myself. Maybe not say it out loud because that seems such like a prick move. But when it comes to doing things and having any kind of success, whether it be moderate or whatever, it depends on, you do this one thing, you're going to be whatever. But we did the Ant King frequency for a good
5 years. We stopped
gracious.
Not long after our 5th birthday.
Yeah, we did it for quite a while. And it's like the joke is like, oh, hi, I have a podcast. What's yours? It's like everybody and their brother. And it's like, we tried. We had a good time. I was having a good time. Well, it's basically just the excuse. Like, it's basically recording. And here we go now.
Yeah.
But with me, I would have kept going. I could talk. The problem is the more content of me talking out there is probably the worst it could be for me. Because I'll say I used to be like, well, maybe I shouldn't say. Now I'm just like, who cares? I'll just say it. Hey, freedom of speech, baby. It's like, oh, okay, you say this, like, yeah, Empire Strikes Back is not that good of a movie. Well, it's the best Star Wars. No, it doesn't really have a beginning. It doesn't really have an ending. It is the beginning of the end of the enjoyment of Star Wars that I have now. Years ago, I would have said the exact opposite. But it's like, oh, you can't say that. It's like, oh, well, Star Wars fans upset. Like, well, when are they not? Oh, Teddy Bear Picnic and Return of the Jedi. Oh, no, the reissues. Oh, no, like, I remember some Star Wars fan complaining, this is in the 90s, that they ruined Star Wars by adding the black boxes. The which is they took away the open mat.
Yeah.
Like, this is how films are actually presented. No, they just took away a bunch of my screen. It's all black boxes. Now I'm like, you idiot. You know nothing about movies. Well, no wonder you're a Star Wars fan. But
well, I want to argue your point. I think the best Star Wars was the original Dune. But yeah.
Yeah, well, me and my brother had this talk about we were going to drive out in the middle of nowhere. And my CD had started messing up my car, and I was mentioning something like, gun to your head, if you had to choose the Star Wars, or New Hope as we call it, or David Lynch's Dune, which you choose? And he's like, Dune. I'm like, well, why? You could say that, but why? Explain why. It's like it's creepy, has a good look. And like, he's not a movie guy, but even he recognizes what about Darth Vader's entrance into the Tantive 4 when he comes into when he goes in after the stormtroopers have mowed down all the rebel fighters and Darth Vader. It's like I'm thinking, I'm like, if he says the same thing, I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Even though we're brothers, it doesn't really. We don't always agree on certain things. Like, what are you talking about? You're crazy.
Yeah.
But when he's like, when the Guild Navigator comes in and everybody dressed like they crawled out of what did he say? Crawled out of the grave, which is hilarious because he didn't realize that the other guild members are in costumes made of actually body bags, because David Lynch is weird like that and designs their costumes are made out of body bags. Like, crawled out of the grave. He calls it like ghouls and zombies and everything. And the Guild Navigator is more scary than Darth Vader. I'm like, yeah, it is. This giant fetus monster in a tank.
Well, if you
talking to people's minds.
If you read Lucas's original books, original script for what would have become Star Wars, it's far more of a Dune kind of, royal court of families, and it's just sort of like Dune meets the King Arthur story a little bit with the whole Starkiller saga.
Yeah, I can see it. And that's the thing, like it feels
like he's ripping off Frank Herbert when you read the original Star Wars scripts.
I mean, you got your Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, you got your Akira Kurosawa stuff and everything.
Oh, yeah.
You mix it all together and you get different permutations. And then if you get different permutations, but as far as enjoyment goes, it's like everybody's, I stopped liking Star Wars after this point. I've just reevaluated. It's like New Hope has a solid ending. They blow up the Death Star, but that doesn't mean the Empire's defeated. We don't need to see a sequel. That's the biggest problem. The whole, let's cash in on this. Don't leave money on the table. And I love money. Don't get me wrong. I love if somebody showed up some money and threw some money at me. Okay, fine. But I'm okay with leaving money on the table if it goes against any kind of vision or morality when it comes to that. But that's a totally different topic. How do we get off that topic?
We could go on this topic, but we both know the people in charge, the people that run the studios don't give a shit about vision, artistic integrity, narrative, how acts work, how audiences work. They just make the money.
I mean, none of it matters.
What's going to get us the most amount of money for our investment? Oi.
Pretty much. And then I love the fact now they can't rely on China but they still, it's America. What is an American film anymore? They don't exist.
What the fuck? We're 10 minutes in. I've said Blackstone. We've called out. We've made insinuations as to who runs Hollywood, and now China's getting a mention. Not to mention,
what?
Before that, we started talking about Russia too.
Well,
I'm going to go out and say it, Larry. I'm going to go out and say it, okay?
Go ahead, say it.
Everyone...
Oh my God, we gotta cut this out. This is gonna have to be cut out. That's definitely that will never hit the.
Okay.
That will never
All right.
hit the.
We're back. We're back. All right, 12 minutes 30 in, 10 minutes according to the listener, and we have already had to cut a sizable chunk out of the show. So it's good to know that 2.5 years have gone, and some things don't change. One of my things, and you touched upon this before, why I wanted to stop. The big one, and I'll just gloss over this because it's my own thing, no one cares about it, is that I'd become a work-at-home dad with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, one preschool age, one just starting primary school, who are now suddenly schooling from home. And my wife, who works in a grocer's, was one of the privileged, special workers that could go out and had to go out because she had no staff every day. She was working 7-day weeks. And I was isolated, trapped here in my house for such a long time. And it killed me. It was, at least for the first lockdown here, a really debilitating affair.
And seeing it from here, and of course everything gets exaggerated, and it looked. I was like, okay, it could start out bad. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad. And you're looking at, you got the eventually you had the protests, you had the and I was like, I was like, please devolve into some kind of Mad Max stuff. But I was like, that's terrible because that would mess things up.
There's a weird part of me that wanted that too, because look,
and it's like I wanted to see like
man.
I was like, he go two ways, gyro captain. Whatever, like I can see him hijacking a fuel truck,
maybe
kind of thing. A gyro captain kind of guy. This guy he's on the outside of everything, even more so than Max. Or you riding around, considering how twisted you could be. I could see you riding around with a mohawk and leather chaps and not much else, and be like, like this, like saying, I got to get a breeze between my nethers or something. It's like, what? Oh, wait, no, because you would just do that just to mess with the world and have a laugh.
I think as a bigger guy who leans towards the cleverer side, I would do well in an environment with a bit of disorder, a bit of lawlessness. But and it'd be great to be free of the mortgage and all the other trappings. So, there's a dark part of me. But look, let's brush over that. That was one thing. One of the main things, and I know it shouldn't come off as important, but I was starting to notice at the start of March 2020, when all this started, the internet was suddenly full of fat white guys with no opinions that mattered starting podcasts because they had nothing to do with their time.
I'll add this to it. Even more fat, white guys with pop culture opinions that don't matter.
And we got on the bandwagon late. You and I were podcast listeners for 10 years before we started one.
2010.
Yeah.
If we'd have started in 2010, we would have been, we could have, hey, problem is, late to the party, you join the party, it's like 3/4 of the way over.
Yeah.
and what do you, but it's one of those things, like, I was still having fun. And a lot of people, they underestimate fun. They underestimate, you're not making no money on it. You're not, big, whatever, invited to this, whatever, podcast con or whatever, these things. Which I would never go to that because if you think comic conventions are for losers, there's some people that do, which I can actually understand that to a degree. But podcast con or something like that, it's like, that's pretty.
But we were never doing it for the podcastiness of it, so to speak. I mean, we quit at a time where we were actually tracking upwards. I think we were getting about 200 plus downloads an episode. On the rate we're on, we probably would have been at 300 400 more within a month's time.
But life gets in the way, and that's the thing. It's like, and on my end, if we hadn't have stopped, I would have had to have stopped due to issues in not anything from me personally, but from the people around me, where I had to help out more so than I was already helping out, and basically take care of someone with blindness, someone with cancer, a couple other things. It was like, if it hadn't have stopped when it did, we would have been forced to stop. So it's like one of those things. It's like, well, cut it off and thing. This isn't like the whole. What somebody mentioned to me, it's like about before me and Antonio did this, I did a little podcast with everybody's favorite guy, Bruce Otter, back in the day, which name hadn't talked about in years. And wow, that I still, first time ever flying, it's like, you know what, I'll take a chance. It's like, I'll just take a chance, fly out, be blunt, and say, you know what, what's the worst that could happen? Well, I've seen the movie Fearless. You ever seen the movie Fearless?
Yeah, holding the toolbox in the car crash, simulating the air.
Yeah. Like, you couldn't have held on to your baby. Yeah, it's great. Actually, one of the few good uses of a U2 song. I'm in your same vote. When U2 does more poppy stuff like Elevation or Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, stuff like that, that's actually when they're more enjoyable. Yep. But also In God's Country, I've thank/blame Three Kings for making me like that song from Joshua Tree. But I'll go out to Denver and I'm like, this place is creepy. The flight was kind of interesting. It was basically in a tin cannons because it's a cheap flight, but going out there, meeting Bruce Otter, meeting his family, and the only person out there that actually liked me was the friend of his daughter's who came around. I was out sketching. Oh, you drawing me? Yeah. Only person that was nice to me the entire time. Everything else was awful. It was a miserable time out there. But
I can't speak to that. Yeah.
Well, I think that is. But he wanted to end things. He wanted, after all that, he wanted to, even after, he flipped out. He's like, you can't remember your Skype passwords? Like, hey, man, like I'm not, I don't, log in from multiple different computers. Like one computer, that's the only thing I got to worry about. And like he was like throwing things. He's got a stack of Funko Pops. I'm like, oh no, don't knock over your Funko Pops. A Funko Pop wall. And I'm like, wow, that's really, they suck. If it was like old school Toy Biz still in the box, I'm like, I could actually respect that, considering those things had character to them. These are just these bug-eyed freak hunks of plastic that do nothing. They just sit there. But
yeah, okay. We'll circle back to that. I'll put a pin in that.
Okay, we will. What's wrong with you people that collect these things? Buy them. Oh, I'm a collector. But he wanted to end it, and I'm like, nah. It ended. It ended that Saturday, like, after you got pissy because I was selling more. I was able to sell comics to a cult, even though after they tried to recruit me. I mean, when they were looking at my comic that has literally a dog acting like Macho Man, and it's named God, this dog-faced, muscular body guy, and it's telling an old woman her vagina smells like a moldy basement. And then they look up at me, and behind me is the altar, the pews for this in this gay-friendly church. Mm. Yeah, and I was able to sell some of those comics. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for a blasphemer in the house of the Lord.
They might have recruited you, man. They might have used you to make the next wave of chick tracks.
Nah,
King tracks.
The reason I wouldn't have been able to, they would not. There was because being Denver, Rocky Mountains, right next, basically there. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these the communes and stuff, all these old hippies that fled to the mountains and everything like that, whatever. But a lot of them, like these guys' hands were all mangled up, like they were doing like hard work without gloves.
Right.
And I've met people like that before. So, real man don't need gloves. So I was just like, it keeps me close to the Lord, and I'm like, they You're gonna try to get me to do that? No. I'm like, ain't no way I'm gonna join as a member. Maybe as a leader. Maybe oust the guy that's in charge. Maybe. But as a follower, I'm gonna lead y'all to the righteous path.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But so we never ended out on a official note. It's like, yeah, not interested.
Yeah, I think it became, hey, I'm really struggling, Larry, at the home at the moment. I need to take a break. Let's skip a week, and that became a fortnight, that became a month, and so on. And I just want to call out, I don't know what detail you're willing to go into, and nor should you have to, but you've had one of the most challenging past 2 years I can think of.
People have had a lot worse than me. I'll look at it this way.
Hard to top it, and I just wanted to call out in the way I know how. That cheers to you, my friend, because.
Well, cheers to you as well. I have a Baja Blast Mountain Dew. I'm cheering to you. One of my rare ones I have left.
Okay.
So cheers. Taste that diabetes. No,
Taste that terrible. Corn syrup.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's not one of these. I'm not gonna be one of these. Well, we don't know why things happen, and I unfortunately have run into a lot of people that have that attitude, like the being in the South, evangelical and everything, raised Baptist, and learned at a young age. There's a lot of people. It's like, oh, this bad thing happened to you. Well, that's why the Lord wants it. And I'm like, okay, but that ain't a comfort. That makes me think that's some really sick stuff. It's like, why would you want this bad thing? It's the when like a musician or someone dies, like, oh, well, God needed another bass player, that kind of thing. Like, no, I'm pretty sure he's got plenty. I'm pretty sure there's plenty. But it's one of those things. It's like, but you can't. I look at this way. You can't let it define you. You can't let it control you. You have to acknowledge it, because I'm, trying to bury stuff, trying to bury the badness. And it will taint and over time just disrupt any kind of goodness that will come into your life. And that's the way I look at it, because it's, it's one of those things where I found my years of living on this planet, because I do think sometimes maybe I'm from an alien world or a different time. I feel like I'm from the distant past, like. Wake up one morning, I'm like, I should be crawling out of a cave with a spear. Like, oh no, Cro-Magnons are coming around and they're trying to eat. They're trying to eat my mastodon I cooked last night. No, thank you. That kind of thing. But it just.
Did you see last week they uncovered a link that proved this pile of bones they found was one of the only hybrids between Neanderthal and another breed of the time?
Well, no, I had not seen that, but having worked security around truck drivers and seen people from all over the world, there's a lot more people with some Cro-Magnon caveman DNA in their body than human. I've seen that there's some people with some strong brow ridges, and they got that let's beat a fellow ape man with a bone club and throw it in the sky.
Yeah, well, this Denisovan.
The Russian ape man.
Yeah, well, they've found this fossil evidence that Denisovans and Neanderthals were compatible and could procreate.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, usually those things can happen, and the weirdest thing is I on a while I put it on, so I was doing some comics inking. The 2001 remake of Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton one.
Oh yeah,
and it's still bad. It's still a bad film. But
I like the
makeup
soundtrack.
effects, the costuming, and yes, the soundtrack, especially makeup effects and costumes, fantastic. Especially the ape, armor and everything, the uniforms. But the story behind that getting made and all the alternate stories, like there's like one that you just made me think of. It's like there is a potential Planet of the Apes where they wanted a human. The story is this: there's a virus and humans are dying, and they've realized the virus dates back to like 100,000 years ago. Well, this is a somewhat advanced future. They do have a time machine. So they go back in time. This scientist and his wife go back in time, one of the few that aren't sick. They go back in time to cure this because they got to get, they realize this is a virus, but it's not a natural virus. It was created, but it was created like 100,000 years in the past. So to go back in time, ancient man is at war with intelligent apes. An offshoot of the same genetic, basically, tree. Apes evolved before man did and had their own technology and bioweapons division, and as a more humane way of killing off their rivals instead of like shooting them and stabbing them. Let's let them just die eventually. Problem is their bioweapon didn't work. The viral agent didn't work as fast because they were expecting it within a year, not 100,000 years.
Yeah,
and because of they basically and also it's like if we die, it's like they're gonna eventually die as well. But it was like okay, that's kind of interesting. And they save like a early human. Her name is Iva, A-I-V-A. It's like and they pronounce it Eve, and it's like and they have and the woman's pregnant and she has a son, and like that's Adam and Eve, whatever. They fight the apes. I was like, you know what? That's actually a better concept for a film than the Tim Burton, which is just like, what? It's like pointless.
I sent you a photo. They've reconstructed this Neanderthal Denisovian hybrid, and being able to use AI to generate an image. And I swear to God, this is a bogan. This is where bogans come from. This person moved to Australia.
Under the telephone pole.
They live down Frankston Way.
I won't drive. The mate, say I'm waiting for my mate. And I remember that. That was so funny. Mate, he's just like, the car's clearly been crashed.
Do you know? Because he doesn't live far from me. He's a celebrity. So if he stops at traffic lights, people pull up beside him and take photos and ask, "What are you doing here? How long have you been here?" He hates it. He runs red lights to avoid people.
It's not my fault, officer. The people they're harassing me. I gotta run a red light.
It's very funny. Yes. How do we get here? I guess
I don't know, but it's one of those things. Like it sucked not be able to because also being more responsibilities, being at home all the time, and being because people don't when you boil it down, and it comes to being I'm not a parent, but I understand the importance and the tedium and the stress it is to be a parent. And from my limited perspective, I understand that. That's why I'm sympathetic and I have some empathy for that. And so it's like, it sucked, but I understood you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You get done what you have to get done. And you had to be, stay-at-home dad. You had to be there for your kids. You're not like, hey, boys, I'll be back in a while. I'm going to get some cigarettes, lottery tickets. I'll be back. And then 20 years go by and like, I hate your dad. But
we came out ahead from it. We benefited from it. I've got two kids who are very ahead in school. That's also got to do with how far behind some kids got.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't help none. It's like, everybody's like, well, what about their social, this, that, whatever? Because I remember when I was a kid, we had family friends that were homeschooled. Like one, the older sister, it was three sisters. And family friends, my dad had known both this man and woman before they were a couple, knew them while they were married and everything like that. And since like teenagers, known them for decades at that point. Their older daughter was bullied mercilessly. I mean, to the point not just vocal, but physically bullied, like slammed against lockers. Like And then the whole thing, tell a teacher. Yeah, teachers aren't going to actually stop anything. It's like, go tell a cop. Yeah, what's a cop going to do?
Yeah.
It's like, and so you defend yourself. You're putting like, well, you should. Violence solves nothing. World War I, World War II, Civil War, Revolutionary War, Peloponnesian War. Oh no, they just all talked it all out because talking gets things done. No, talking just puts the lid on the pot. And so that thing boils over, and if hopefully ain't no oil in there because it's going to go whoosh. Yeah. But this woman we affectionately called an aunt, even though she wasn't blood related. She homeschooled her kids, her eldest daughter, and then the rest of her kids as well. I always thought, oh, that's so weird and everything like that. And back then, and then having to put up with basically the similar situations, verbal and physical bullying, and then to the point, even I was like, okay, I could probably take these other people if in a fight, and then when it's like the 2 turn into 5, and then 5 turn into like 7 or 8, because I have people say, oh, you have the gift for gab. I got the gift for getting on people's nerves and just to beat him down, put him in his place. So it was like I totally got what. And my mother was like, no, you're not getting homeschooled. And I'm not going to, I'm like, oh. So it's like one of those things. Yeah. So I kind of it's not, the stigma has kind of been washed away when it comes to that, forcefully so.
I think the kids had less to worry about than the adults. I was really, disappointed / angered more than anything at the amount of, you'd see people on Facebook and YouTube boast about tying a ceiling fan to their mouse and then going to read a book and snooze on the couch. So that their boss would see that they're always active on Teams or Skype or whatever was being used, because, these things shine red if there's no activity.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah. And it made me go really quite mad at the time seeing this, thinking, how fucking pointless is your job? How little do you contribute to society that you can go off the radar for days at a time and your employer not know or care or have to prove anything? There's no key performance indicators or qualifying factors for your job. How irrelevant are you? How little do you contribute to society? But clearly there's many. Well,
that's what's so shocking. It's like when people realize how much of their work is busy work after the past 2 years. It's like so many people have jobs that they boil down to you actually accomplish nothing. You work 40 hours a week if you're lucky. If you're not salaried, where you could work more, you do all these things, and you end up with what? What do you, at the end of the day, other than being paid or putting towards whatever your salary, your deal, what do you actually accomplish? And the answer is nothing. It's busy work. It's basically everything boils down to, the majority of things boils down to busy work. You're not building something. You're not I talked about this a couple of months back with some family at a reunion, or not reunion. It was it was a party. Mm-hmm. It's a family I hadn't seen in years. And they were doing not really housewarming, kind of, sort of. Their son had come back. He was out in the West Coast, and he left. He's like, I got to get out of here. He went out west for a girl. That didn't work out. So his parents come on back home. He didn't want to come back home right away because of the whole, my parents are right and make me feel like I'm wrong kind of thing. It's 20-year-old, this kid basically, which is weird when you think of it that way, considering there's 17-year-olds fighting and dying in wars and everything. Now it's 20-year-old kid. And it's now they can't even smoke. They can't even drink. Can't, it's you can't even buy a firearm. At 20 now. So it's you can go and die for your country, but you can't buy a lottery ticket, get drunk, or go get a gun of your own. But you can go kill somebody in a foreign land for democracy. Yeah. But I was talking about how with them, we're out under some pine trees and stuff, and this, that, whatever. And I was saying how the most rewarding job I ever had was picking squash during the summer, because the workday would start pre-dawn, 5:30 a.m. wake up time. I'd be over there by 6. And you were working for your grandfather. I'd rather work for a stranger because a stranger would probably treat me way better than my grandfather did. And he was that much of an SOB. And I would have to, if no one's ever picked squash, there's like furs on them, and it's like there's like these almost like fiberglass like hairs that if you are not wearing gloves, they will go into your flesh of your hands and make them swell up. It's like little tiny needles. But at the end of the day, I had multiple baskets full of yellow squash. Mm-hmm. Usually grew yellow. Yellow is more popular than green, the zucchini.
Big ones, little ones?
Medium-sized ones, about half the size of your forearm.
Half the size?
No, squash. Like they look like cucumber a little bit. Had a little bit of curl.
Right. Squash, I think, differs here. Our squash are more like tennis balls or smaller.
Type in yellow squash. Yellow squash. That's technically, I guess you call it yellow zucchini, but it's yellow squash here. That's what you mostly grow. Yeah. It's about the size of a little bit bigger than a cucumber lengthwise, but it kind of bulbs out at the end because it's a gourd. It's a gourd.
Right. Here, if you buy squash, it looks like you Yanks call it a patty pan squash.
Okay, yeah. Well, here we got butternut, which is very similar. It's like the bigger kind of squashes, the gourds. Right. Like if you dry them out, you can turn them into a birdhouse if you wanted, if you hollowed them out and everything. But it was the most rewarding job I ever had because at the end of the day, I knew I accomplished something. And also I got paid in cash at the end of the day. So that was also good. I didn't have to, wait till the end of the week. No, I got paid that day. Which was good. And everybody else got paid that day. And I wasn't the only one. There's people there that were not family. But that right there made more of an impact than working security for all those years. I did it working, being a kind of a handyman, as it were, for everything from cutting grass to putting up walls, pulling some wiring, doing some stuff like that. Basically the handyman / assistant work, which is mainly go get this, go get that, haul this heavy thing, move this heavy thing, move this, move that, and then having people around me like, I could do that all by myself, and I'm like, you're the one with the torn muscle in your bicep, whatever. You got a torn bicep right now, and you're telling me, I could do this. Now, why don't you do it then? And then having to put up with that, it's like, don't antagonize people. I'm like, you can't win. So, but yeah.
We're usually at the part of the podcast where we'd have like a challenge or a cast this film or who would win in a fight between or something like that. I'm not going to lie, I don't have anything prepared.
Well, I had this, I don't have anything prepared either. And I think that right there is another thing. It's like, I always have more fun. Just, there was times I remember some of the more memorable bits of the podcast are where we were talking about one thing and Antonio surprised me talking about guns, basically not too, jokingly, but guns are bad. I'm like, no, guns are great. Guns are a great equalizer. God made man. Samuel Colt made man equal. It's like, or I think that's the quote, but it's, I look at it this way. It's especially in this past 2 years, where after we stopped doing the podcast, we had thankfully being in a small town have less than 300 people. There are apartment buildings that have more people than this entire town. That's what's great about America. We have space. I was going into a grocery store yesterday with my brother, and it's a food line, and there's multiple things. A little kind of food line with a little strip mall thing, the old Chinese restaurant, 24-hour gym, which is really not a 24-hour, it's like a 10-hour gym, because ever since the whole, even though North Carolina is a purple state. It's in the South, but we have a lot of California money. We have, Epic Games is here. They're the whole, Epic Games and Dell and a bunch of other tech companies and everything and all this and that. And, so it's got a lot of them California people here, and it kind of turns everything from, it's like you go to the big cities, your Raleigh, your Durham, your Chapel Hill, your Charlotte, your Wilmington, those things, very, very lefty. You go 5 minutes outside those cities, you got Confederate, you go on 95 South, you got a Confederate flag as big as a semi-trailer flying. They want people to know, like, oh, you think I'm from, I live in a nice suburb on the outskirts of Raleigh. Oh my God, it's a giant Confederate flag! It's going to get them in the night. It's like, technically that's not the Confederate flag. That's the kind of the. It's a character. It's like, it's the battle flag. Well, that's actually more square. It's whatever, but it affects some people a certain way. And like, I've seen more Confederate flags in Ohio and Wisconsin than I ever saw in North Carolina or South Carolina, which is hilarious considering, like, how dare you people? First off, how dare you co-opt that? But whatever. But this going in the grocery store and this parking lot, I saw my brother says, this right here is about as big as the Shibuya crossing. You see how many people go through there? Yeah. See how many people in this parking lot right now? This is why America's great, because you can have space and distance. You don't have to wear a cloth diaper over your face because I'm going to be on a train. I will cough. And then be molested by some creepy train man. That right there. It's like, and you got millions of people packed in like sardines. Guess what? I remember talking to someone that had connections to Japan. And they were saying how this Japanese person who speaks English was very upset with Americans. Why don't they just wear the masks? Why don't they do this? I was like, well, first off, why were you having children sharpen spears for the planned Japanese invasion of the Japanese homeland, the islands, where, why were fathers giving up their daughters to be comfort women? A part of the Japanese Imperial War Machine. Why a lot of these horrible things? Why haven't you actually atoned for Unit 731's crimes? Come on, people. Come on. I want to talk about that. So guess what? Because America's the greatest country in the world. We are the greatest. We are the best. We're the most fit and handsome. And yeah, I'm just joking, of course. But that's why I don't have to do that. And actually, I stopped doing that like in August. Like after I was doing it. And August of 2020, I actually got it. I got it, before and the entire month of August, I was sick. Yeah. I mean, not bedridden. Like first week, I felt like living hell. I mean, it was, but here's the crazy thing. It wasn't as bad as it was. That was more prolonged. But in January of 2019, sorry, not 2019, 2016, I got two strains. You have two strains of the flu at the same time. I got a flu, and I gotten it so bad. And so I went to this. I was like running 103-degree fever. I was like, and that was after me keeping like ice, bag of ice on my head to keep, and it was like dripping. Water was dripping down. The condensation was forming so quickly because of the heat and everything, the heat exchange. And I was like melting down like a nuclear power plant. And I remember going to it wasn't the hospital, it was urgent care. And I was there, and like, I don't have insurance. And they're like, well, you need your card. And I'm like, just whatever. And it was like $150 basically for them to, oh yeah, you got the flu. Then eventually, I was eventually told, yeah, you got the flu. Well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But it's like, you got two strains at the same time. I was like, okay. It's like, yes, sir, there's a war. There's a war going on inside me. It's like, no, he's mine. No, he's mine, kind of thing.
Hey, you sold I was basically told. It's a classic play. It's good work.
Yeah, exactly. Two devils on each shoulder. It's like, But I basically paid $140, $150 to basically be told, get rest, take minimum 500 milligrams of acetaminophen every 6 hours, drink plenty of fluids. And keep your temperature down with ice packs or cool compresses or cold baths or showers, whatever. So basically, what I was doing, I had to pay $150. Wow. So look, and also I slept I prop myself up so I would be able to, like, if I have to cough up anything while I'm resting, I could. And instead of using paper towels, I was like, I'm gonna get a bath towel. I'm just gonna do that because and eventually that even got coated in the mucus and all the nastiness. I basically did the same thing in August of 2020. And after that, I said, what's the point of even wearing this dang thing? And it ain't stopping it. And hard, like I was like, I forget it. So I stopped. I told somebody that you're gonna get people sick. It's like, we all gotta die sometime. And I actually said that, and I was like, I should have said that. Who cares? I already said it. You can't do nothing about it now. You ain't gonna unring that bell. And and it's like, and you've watched, and I saw people like passport back to freedom and all this and that, and it's like, yeah, I got it for the second time, and I'm like, remember when they told you it was gonna be like prevent everything? Yeah, I do too. Wow, we have really veered off of. Cut.
I'm not going to cut. I don't see why we should cut that. We didn't say anything.
Well, I'm just saying. It's like
I'm enlightened to hear it. I haven't got it yet. I haven't.
Well, it was I don't know. Okay, because I already experienced the fever. And the fever, the flimminess. Like, imagine an entire month where it felt like someone every morning you wake up. It would after like the first week or so, week and a half, 2 weeks, because I slept on my side. Like, I don't like sleeping on my side because my leg will go numb because that trust exercise at church when I messed my back, broke my leg, I messed my back at the same time. Didn't realize it at the time, but the older you get and you realize things are falling apart. And I was like, so if any phlegm or stuff comes up, I can cough it up easier. I'm not laying on my back where it just rests in your chest, I'm encouraging the stuff to get out of my body, get the demons out,
A lot of demons.
And a lot of demons. But one of the worst parts was the bone aches, the joints, like every joint, from my hands, hips,
the worst.
My legs, my arms, my neck, my back. It felt like someone took like you ever seen someone put I guess technically it's a dowel, but the wedge, like the little wooden wedges and things to keep them like separate. That's how it felt like every joint in my body.
Did you have any good
those things? Not like that. I had that dream one time back in 2008 where I had to unload. I was at the Baltimore port. It was basically The Wire season 2. I was a Steve Dorr, but I was Superman. And I actually had to unload a cargo ship all by myself, and it took 2 weeks. That was a dream. In my dream, it lasted 2 weeks. It was in reality only like 6 hours of sleep. So I had 2 weeks, and I was like, because I was having to pick up the things and carry them, Superman style. And you don't realize how many cargo containers there are, and it took me 2 weeks in the dream. I've felt every bit of those 2 weeks. It was nonstop. Day and light cycle, daylight, and I was moving as fast as I could without like breaking things, because I tried to speed through it and I damaged one of the containers, and I tried to speed through it again, and the container just warped because of the speed of my superhuman strength, my Superman strength. And it was just insane. And no good fever dreams. I was just glad to be over it. But I knew, I was like, it took me about 4.5, 5 weeks, just to say a month, for my taste to come back. And the reason I knew my taste was gone, because I took garlic powder and I put it on my tongue and I could not taste it. I knew it was there. I knew there was something on my tongue. And I made the mistake of putting garlic salt. I took garlic powder one time and then I tried garlic salt. Now I could feel the salt burning my tongue because it's trying all the taste buds out.
Yeah.
So I could feel that. But I said, what's the point of even adding pepper and salt and everything? But when my taste buds started finally slowly coming back, I remember I was cooking some steak on the grill, and I could smell garlic, because I use garlic powder and onion powder and a little bit of sea salt. And I'm like, I can smell garlic. I got my sense of smell. And it was not as strong. It took me after that, it was like another week. So it really was like 6 weeks of, and that 6th week was like that kind of transition, going back from having like no taste to I literally had like no taste. It was like water, coffee, didn't matter. It all tasted the same. Like the texture is different, of course, but But yeah, I know people that, it's the joke about, I'm so glad to have be boosted. I'm so glad to be boosted, even though I've gotten sick for the 5th time. It's so good that, that kind of joke,
Yeah.
I look at it this way, like, say, like I prescribe to the idea, or subscribe sounds like pills, but pills, which you need, Larry, but no, the idea of dangerous freedom. It's like the idea is like no one can guarantee your safety. No one, no organization, no individual. Like, we will make you safe. I'm like, nope, do not trust that person.
Yeah.
They are your enemy at that point, because when they say we're going to make you safe, it's like, well, we got to take things from you, but it's for your own good, that kind of thing. And never trust those people. And I'm like, seeing those footage come out of Australia, or you got celebrities being able to come in, your Tom Hankses and what have you, and like, but they're making a film, they're bringing money. Well, that's the thing though. But there's so much of that stuff. It was like, and then like you see those they're calling them concentration camps. Well, they're not too far from it. The prison camps, and then it's like you have to 100%. Stay back. It's just insane. It's like, you can't go out of you can't leave. It's you will live in the pods. You will eat the bugs. You will own nothing, and you'll be happy. Because here's the pill you got to take.
Attention, prisoner, you are crossing the yellow line.
Well, my brother had never seen, like, I showed him the trailer for Snowpiercer last night. We were talking. I was like, hey, you ever seen it? Because I was going through Tubi, and they had Snowpiercer. And I said, hey, you ever seen the trailer for this? Have you ever heard of Snowpiercer? And he's like, no. So I showed it to him. And I was like, yeah, this is basically that World Economic Forum. You will eat the bugs. You will even live in the pod. You will own nothing and be happy. It's like, and I'm like, wow, it's pretty much it. You know, and it's like, because that's the thing. It's like, this is why, like, they want everybody to argue about, your insert BS politics, insert your garbage movie series is based off of some comic that nobody reads anymore. Insert, ethnic division and derision and superiority and inferiority and this and that, whatever, because they don't want them to turn and say, hey, wait a second, who's calling all the shots? Who's making all these things bad? Oh yeah, and then looking up at the shiny hill, and then everybody picking up their torches and pitchforks. But yeah. I always like, oh, yeah. When I don't have a good way to transition, I'm like, yeah. Calling out my ticks.
Yeah. No, well, I'll keep that in mind if we ever play poker. If you start saying, oh yeah, that he's partly gone. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I'd invite our callers to call in and let us know what they've been going through, whether they've caught COVID, what their symptoms are. But this is our last episode. There is no follow-on to it. I mean, I was even thinking of pulling up the old mailbag, but I have it on my phone. It's in another room. Yes, I know I'm one of the weird people who doesn't take their phone everywhere with them. Shoot me. But
I actually had this past year.
Yeah.
Within the past, so it's 8th month of the year. Within the last 8 months, I had the first time I ever actually had a smartphone. I had to get one. My old flip phone finally went and the screen died on me. It wouldn't. The dial pad would not dial all the numbers. It would turn off if you tried to make a call sometimes. So I had to finally get a smartphone. It was miserable because I was like, these smartphones suck. My old one, I could just flip the phone open, dial the number, scroll into context, hit the number, done. I got to swipe, put in the code, swipe again, go to tap this, swipe again, swipe, swipe. Like, I hate it. I hate technology. At heart, I'm a Luddite, but so yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you just take your spy device with you. It's basically what you're doing. Who needs a big brother when you're little brother is there with you the entire time, taking care of him? You're your brother's keeper, as it were.
Yeah.
when it comes to these cell phones and stuff.
But look, I don't have it with me, but I can tell you that the inbox has been 2.5 years, 2 years of
Spam.
just spam. I cannot believe the number of people that tried to sell.
What happened to our number one fan, Hisham Jameh, whatever his name?
Hisham Jameh never got back to us.
We it's like, what they responded to us? We don't expect.
We have had stuff addressed to Anthony King, which is funny because I never wrote that name anywhere. I only mentioned it on the show. So I'm wondering if for a brief period
AI.
Well,
probably
possibly,
AI.
yeah.
It's probably AI. Like they pick up certain things. Like, what's funny because we're going to post this. Antonio's going to post this to the YouTube channel.
I'm going to heavily edit
and
it. No,
heavily edit it.
Just one section
for posterity's sake.
The A versus B joke has to go.
That's going to have to go. Yeah, there's bits that are going to have to go. But
I don't know how some podcasts do it.
It's a lot. There's a lot of it soulless. Like I did this because I had fun talking with you.
Yeah,
I'm having fun talking with you now. We don't get to do it that much anymore because considering life is a lot different than it was 3 years ago. And people say life has changed. Yeah, but not for the better. Change. Like I in the past, since the last time we did this, I've really gone on a war against the word change.
Yeah.
Like, I think pretty much everybody, the whole would Obama in 08 is like hope and change. Well, hope is good. Well, we agree hope is good. Change, no, change is not good. Because change sounds like, oh, change, we're making change. Okay, well, change is like, hey, I found a gold bar lying on the ground nobody owns. Hey, that can make me money. Change can also, oh no, I got some horrible disease that cannot be cured. Well, that's also a change. You got to be specific.
Yeah.
Improvement, betterment.
It also takes energy to do this. I mean, I'm not talking about the physical act of recording and editing and all that, but
it's the editing. It's the editing that's
but
the
even
pain,
just to
and
be
also like making
on the call, to be on point. I mean, you and I we're recording, 2 hours worth every Monday night. Cutting that down. But ignore that. I mean, there's more energy for me that goes into just being present for the recording time. You know what I mean? Not jumping on Facebook while we're talking.
You got to make arrangements. You can't just, here, kids, here's a box of matches and some gasoline.
No. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like being on point for the call, listening to your every word, listening for stuff to jump out to and respond to, and making a show out of it. You know what I mean? Like steering us in a certain direction if we go elsewhere or in another. That stuff takes energy. We had, I had plans for episodes and directions, and sometimes, I was able to rope-a-dope you into one way before hitting another and stuff like that. That took energy, and that's energy which in the past 2.5 years I've put in other directions. I mean, you've been very prolific in comic publishing. Of your own,
not as much as I'd like, but that's out of my control. Considering
still very proficient.
It's the global. Yeah, thanks globalism. Nothing's made in America no more. Not even a damn paper.
Yeah. But is there anything else where you've dedicated that Ant King frequency energy to instead?
Mainly comics. It's basically been all hands on deck when it comes to comics making, because it's not just I'm drawing. I am completely creating worlds, and these aren't, there's a 20-page story. The current one I'm working on, God help me, and I think I've started hating the comic because I've basically been working on Gemini Jump, which is a comic I actually started in. It's funny. I started it
at the start of the pandemic.
In July of 2020 is kind of when I started working on the concept. A guy goes on, his alias, his handle is Perch on YouTube, and I got sick right after I basically did the not necessarily final draft, but basically like this is what I'm going off of when it came to this cover on in early August of 2020, and then from basically since then I did work on 2 more projects that have not seen the light of day for various reasons since then, but that was a 48-page comic. Then I did a color version of it. Revised some pages. I did a 64-page Gemini Jump follow-up story, which is they're all standalone because they don't have numbered or not numbered. It's Gemini Jump Heroes, which is the second book, hasn't seen the light of day yet. Full color, 64 pages that I, of course, wrote. When I say write, I mean I did the rough layouts, I did the tightened up pencils, the inks, the colors, then wrote the story on top of all that, dialogue, whatever. I visually told it first, and then added the dialogue, did all that stuff, and then I'm currently working on the third Gemini Jump comic, which is 60 pages. So we're talking, at the end of the day, it'll be like 160 some odd pages of comics, and I was like, I got to stop this. This is because this isn't just like 2 or 3 panels. This isn't a DC New Frontier, Darwin Cook deal where it's 3 panels a page.
Yeah.
This is current page I'm working on has got 6 panels. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when there's a lot of detail going on, and some pages have like 7, 8 panels, some have 9. It gets, but then you got 6. Then like, oh wow, 10 pages down, 50 to go, and then it's like, it gets pretty daunting. It's like, wow, why do I do this to myself? And it's like, well, you're having fun. Like, no, I'm not. I'm not having fun right now. I have fun when it's done. I'm and unfortunately, I'm doing the exact opposite of working harder, not smarter. And it's working that harder, not smarter.
Are you Kickstartering or Patreoning or whatever?
No Patreon. I've never liked the idea of like I owe someone this. Like it's like one thing to sell something. It's another thing like I want money from others or others think like the idea of having like I ain't saying Patreon is like the kind of art monkey kind of thing. Like do what I say, draw what I want. I'm the one that provides for you, and also it's like I'm not in that kind of creative mindset where I could do that, offer that kind of aspect to people. As far as crowdfunding, probably Indiegogo, because of Kickstarter. Like Indiegogo is a little bit more freewheeling when it comes to projects, for good and bad. They're a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
They're not as stringent, I guess you could say. Though I've not, the first Gemini Jump book fulfilled, had no problems that I know of. They never reached me, and so I'm happy there. But for the most part, I'm just focusing on that and trying to get this done. And of course, I'm gonna take a little bit. I'm not gonna do new Gemini Jump books for a while. I know that much. There'll be 3 books.
Do you have
all of them more
Indiegogo for the 60 pager?
Yeah, when that gets done, it'll be 60. That'll go Indiegogo. The same thing with the one previous, the one that hasn't even seen the light of day yet. I haven't even got that thing printed, mainly due to the paper issues.
You're the least commercial guy I know, but I'm just putting out
that's
there.
My problem, that's really my problem.
If anyone listening, because Larry won't take a fucking hint, if anyone listening is interested in Larry's comics and wants to invest in the creativity, I don't have a link.
Give me your money.
Yeah.
No strings attached, and I'll just keep making comics. Yeah.
Follow his Twitter at Larry King Undead, and you'll be updated regularly. Not just with that, but with some other great stuff too. Like I didn't know about that John Byrne OMAC run. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's hilarious to see. Like there's people that have never even knew that existed because DC doesn't like. DC is like Marvel. They don't like talking about the good comics of the past because if they did, people are like, well, how bad have things gotten since?
If it's not on the shelves, if they can't sell a toy of it or underpants of it, they don't care. But that actually reminds me, I put a pin in something before. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
It's a bit of a ritual now. I recently turned 40. Turning 40 isn't the ritual. I've only done that once. The ritual is on my birthday, I buy myself a present. Previous year, it was one of the re-releases of the original Ninja Turtle lines. I bought myself Michelangelo. But this year, I was at my local department store, and I saw for the first time a decent DC Comics action figure. Let me just get it.
Okay. Well, why is entertaining that? Speaking of Ninja Turtles, I recently discovered that they have the on Amazon, at least here in the U.S., the John Duprez score on there. Wow.
Now,
Soups.
Yeah, this is a McFarlane Toys Superman.
How hilarious is that? I love it.
I know. Just that alone. Now you'll notice what's below his yellow belt, Larry.
He's got some red trunks.
Ain't that the darnest thing? This just jumped out straight at me. I was like, "Holy crap, that's a Superman toy!" And then I realised he was standing amongst a whole bevy of other Superman toys in the more, contemporaneous costume.
We're mature. He doesn't wear underwear on the outside no more.
Yeah, but he's got a Chinese Mandarin collar. Hint, hint. But I saw that and I thought, well, that's going to be my yearly treat for myself. And it was heavily discounted. It was only $15, which is very cheap for an action figure. But yeah, I was quite impressed that Superman without the Mandarin collar, the weird sort of non-belt he has around his appendix, and lack of underpants didn't make it through. And for some reason, the old classic iconic image of Superman stands out because there was only one of these left and hundreds of the other Superman.
That's the problem. That's the problem with the way things are now, because the classic stuff still stands out. And the more they try to push the newer designs, newer characters, it's not going to work because they're not iconic.
Yeah.
Designs are not iconic. I've enjoyed works of Jim Lee in the past, but he's a terrible designer. The new 52 designs suck. All of them suck.
That's a good point.
And this is a guy who I still say he basically sold Alan Moore down the river, because I know off topic, kind of, sort of, but Alan Moore at the time was working at Extreme Studios, which is Rob Liefeld. He was working on Supreme, which is the best Superman comic of the 90s, perhaps pretty much. I'd say, honestly, if you gave me the Supreme by Alan Moore, and then you know what, Supreme by Alan Moore is better than All-Star Superman. Yeah, I said it.
Which is the one that was written by Diddler?
No, that was
Ultra.
No, yeah, that was the one from the Malibu, not Ultra Force, Prime.
Prime, right? Sorry, Supreme and Prime. I often confuse.
Gerard Jones is the guy. Yeah, look him up. And the most messed up thing is that there's comic pros that were defending him before, like the kind of like, he's not guilty, and then they realize, oh yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, he's also the co-creator of Hulk 2099, which is another character we'll never see the light of day because the whole co-creator of it is, being convicted of, or took a plea deal. Either way, but yeah, with
I've never read Supreme. In my head, Supreme is like a portmanteau between Prime and what was that Wildcat Cherubim Warrior? Majestic?
Oh, Majestic, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, Al Moore wrote Wildcats as well and wrote Majestic.
True.
So it's funny. It's funny. Him and James Robinson. But with Alan Moore was working at Extreme, and he was not under contract. He was basically work for hire, and making waves with Supreme and people enjoying it and everything. And because the comic is great because there's flashbacks with Rick Veitch doing the art, where it's like flashbacks to the Silver Age with this kind of Silver Age style, like this kind of pastiche of the Silver Age style, which is great. Modern day comics, like, well, it's like the time I was like these adventures with these, like, and it's straight up like that, like Sheldon Moldoff, Dick Sprang, Murphy Anderson, that 60s, 50s, 60s, comics feel to it. But DC came around to Extreme, was like, hey, we want to buy, like, you got Alan Moore under contract, we're going to buy you, right? It's like, he's not under contract, so they had no interest in buying Extreme. So I believe, this is my little theory, my little comics theory. Jim Lee heard about this and already had the whole cliffhanger thing, your battle chasers, your Danger Girl, all that stuff. Alan Moore comes in, he's like, he stole Alan Moore away from Jim Valentino and everything with the whole, I don't know if you remember, you ever read 1963? It's the miniseries Alan Moore did. It is, if you love Marvel Comics, you'll love what Marvel Comics used to be.
Yeah.
1963 is a love letter to the original spirit of Marvel Comics. Not timely, but Marvel. And it's got the pastiche of the Fantastic Four is amazing. The Eternaut. It ain't the Eternaut. That's a different comic. That's the Argentinian comic. It's a combination between Arnim Zola, Silver Surfer, Iron Man, all in one character. Basically, his consciousness is in a sphere, and it goes into different bodies, and like the bodies are like giant body, small body, big body, whatever, kind of like Iron Man armor. It's a great comic, but I'm blanking on the name right now. But Jim Lee was actually supposed to do the 1963 annual. Well, that never happened because Jim Lee he doesn't like drawing comics. He just likes making money, and that's really it. And so 1963 annual never came out, but he had a relationship with Alan Moore. So Alan Moore comes in with the whole America's Best Comics line. Top 10, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Tom Strong, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And signs the contract, makes a deal with him. America's Best Comics, published by Wildstorm. While in production of the first couple issues of all the comics, hey, what happens? Oh, yeah, DC comes in and buys Wildstorm. This is after sniffing around Extreme. Now, Jim Lee and I think it's Scott Dubnier, the editor, they get on a plane and they fly to England from Southern California. They go to England, go to Northampton, and basically, oh yeah, we sold the company to DC. And this is after Alan Moore is like going in Wizard. I'll never work for DC again. I want to have nothing to do with them. They screwed me over. Of course he'd go.
He's been so vocal about it.
So this is the guy you're going to trust. Everyone's like, oh, Jim Lee, but he does Twitch drawing. Yeah. Where's actual comics work? Your sketches mean jack. Your covers mean nothing.
Yeah.
Give me actual pages or GTFO, as they say. Play the PTO or GTFO. Play the objective or get the fuck out. Well, I shouldn't have dropped the F. I could have just kept it.
Oh, I've dropped it several times.
Oh, that's right, you have.
And you know what? I don't care at this point. What are they going to do?
It's YouTube. It's YouTube.
It's YouTube. You can say that.
Also, it's the last episode. It's pandemonium on the. It's like the last episode of a thing. It's like pandemonium. But I will say this: I've had, this won't be the end of conversations between us two.
It isn't.
But in this forum. As far as Ant King frequency, which was a fun experiment, It was a fun time.
Yeah.
But I think that right there is I do believe we, may not have made an impact, though I will say I will say there's certain things that have made an impact that we've done. Being blindsided by the whole the gun, being blindsided by the gun thing, that was hilarious.
It was one time, man. One time.
In one time, but that's what it reminded me of that scene. It made me feel like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas. Like, hey, I'm gonna be a made man. I'm like, go down to the basement. Like, the chairs are stacked. Oh no! Boom! Shot in the back of the head. And like, hey, he's dead. There's nothing we can do about it. Or it kind of also reminded me of. Rorschach after Moloch's been killed, and he's like, "Come on out, Rorschach!" It's like, he's like, "I've been set up. I ain't coming out alive." But when I told you about how I spiked Grand Theft Auto 5 onto the ground, shattered it like a million pieces, and you're like, oh, you were shocked, you were genuinely shocked, and that made me laugh so hard.
I was more shocked because I knew I wouldn't get to play Grand Theft Auto 5 with you, and we had some fun times.
But hilarious thing is, after that, I got it again, and we played, and it had dumb fun being chased through the LA River. and reenacting the Terminator 2 motorcycle chase, except with a knockoff version of a Del Camino and a city bus for reasons. Who knows?
Well, it looks
that
like
time,
GTA 6 isn't far off. We could maybe. Yeah.
It's potential. I don't think I'll be. I don't think I'll be playing any more Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, no, I've uninstalled that game. I'll have you know, I did, in the midst of COVID, finally purchase the Oppressor motorbike that I only fell in love with after you let me use yours.
Well, it was funny enough. I have not touched GTA, and I actually uninstalled it. So, but the data should still be there.
Yeah,
I have not touched it since. But the other thing was the notorious. I think this one kind of broke me when it comes to the verses, whatever. Who would win?
The Bishop versus Bishop.
Marita or
no.
Jackie Chan?
Yeah,
and I'm like, clearly Jackie Chan because Pat Morita's dead. So I have one for you.
Okay.
All right. Who would win?
All right. I'm ready.
Who would win? Hillary Clinton or Liz Massey?
Who would win at what, though?
A fight to the death. And the answer should be very clear to you.
If it's a fight to the death, Liz Massey's already won because she got there first.
Exactly. It's like in my head, because the horrible things is I like Liz Massey. I've enjoyed her what I've seen, but you will not let this thing go. But the only thing I think of is you've seen Army of Darkness, right?
Yeah.
When Evil Ash, he gets blown up and he's basically just a skeleton at that point fighting. It's like a stop motion skeleton, Jason Argonaut style, whatever, fighting Ash. I just feel like Ash, put Hillary Clinton in Ash's position. He's the skeleton with a sword, slash. Except I'm pretty. It's like you can't. What are you gonna do? You can't. You're not gonna drop a barbell on the back of. Oops, workout accident. Drop the barbell on the back of somebody's head. Oh no, he committed suicide by shooting himself 5 times in the back of the head.
Well, you've just inspired me to come up with the artwork for this show.
Oh God! And there's another thing. I don't know if you're still doing them, but you've been doing the Fiverr gigs. You've been making some incredible art for some very ungrateful people.
Yeah, but I've been making good money. This is. I did my taxes. I made $2,000 last year.
There you go. And that right there. But you're actually a good artist. You make good music. You make good art. You're a Renaissance man, as it were. You're like the Da Vinci, except for without the insinuations.
Well, I want you to know that I recently signed up for the latest version of DALL-E, that AI art generator.
I was having a conversation about that actually earlier, but yeah, you signed up for the next generation of it or something.
Yeah. So I just typed in zombie Liz Massey is Queen of the Ants. Or maybe I should put Ant King frequency.
Okay, that would be.
Well, put zombie Liz Massey on the Ant King frequency. Let's see what that comes up with, and that can be the artwork for the show. Because I don't think it'll let me put Hillary Clinton in. I know I've typed Donald Trump type stuff before, and it says no, you've breached our weird. Sorry, I'm just saying weird because I just saw a photo. This is bizarre. Okay.
Well, I'll get it this way. The whole AI generated art thing, which everybody's like loving now. Like, you love it now. Wait till like movies are made that way. Animation, comics. You're gonna have people it's going to be, just like how the copyright law has been abused legally, like how, like, well, it should be public domain at this point. Like these certain characters should be public domain. Well, these things are technically not. You can't really copyright this digital stuff. Wait till some lawyers get a hold of it and make that so.
True.
And so they start selling stuff that you thought comics were bad before exploiting AIs. You're making me do a Spider-Man comic. That's awful. Well, Spider-Man swinging from a thing and punching villain. Yeah.
The idea I had was for things like my Fiverr gigs, where there was freedom in it to basically punch in DALL-E as a I don't know, like
cheater. That's what a cheater would do.
No, cheater. Like an inspiration, like just like an idea generator.
Okay, see that right there. I have no problem with idea generator because it's like asking, instead of asking one or two people, it's like asking the internet, asking the consensus of the internet.
Mate,
like, hey, what do you think of this?
As you can see by the images I've just uploaded to Messenger chat, you can't use this stuff.
Oh my God.
But it still is amazing.
This is it's disturbing. Please no. No, please no. That's my response. Please no. I don't know what's more horrifying, those photos or the interspecies creation that was found in a cave. The Denisovan Neanderthal hybrid, whatever.
Yeah.
Which maybe the reason, because that's the thing. The proto-bogan. About it with the proto-bogan. When it comes to that thing, when you think about it, like finding the remains, usually that stuff is taken care of by nature, by predators, by whatever. And it's weird. It's like maybe the reason they found these remains because nobody wanted this creature. It's like, hey man, I was drunk. I didn't mean to hook up with that. It's just, like that kind of thing. Like just like a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a kind of mistake. Oh no, that's terrible. But it's like, I don't know. That's the name of the show. Oh no, it's terrible.
I don't know. It's terrible. Look, Larry, it wasn't terrible. It was a hoot, and like all good things, it came to an end, and that's it. And this is us just putting a formal ending to it all. I will turn the lights out at the bar, Sam from Cheers style, and
then grab your can of gasoline
to an insurance shop where everybody likes to get paid. A certain kind of lightning will occur. Like, hey, it was a clear night last night, man. It was when that ball lightning. But yeah, it was great, and thank you for the listeners for joining us on the journey. We met some stand-up folks who we still talk to. I mean, I'm trying to remember their pseudonym that they went by, but was it Leonard Blythe? Was that it?
We got Travis. We got Travis and Pete. Let's just say Travis and Pete.
But Travis's whole family really. I
love him, but man, he's like too many daggone aliases. I ain't gonna bother.
Right. Okay. You're gonna call him out right here, right now.
I'm not doxing him or anything. No, but I'm saying it's just.
But Travis,
like, hey man, if you've got a problem, I'm sorry. I'll give you some stripper clips for Mosing the gun and make you happy. Some extra stripper clips.
Pete, I hope all things going well with yours too. I know you've had a pretty rough couple of years too, so we really appreciate the listenership there and everyone else out there that's listened along.
Hey, Sham Janame, wherever you are, man, if you're fighting for your freedom, good luck to you, bud.
Keep fighting the good fight, Hisham. Just emailing them podcasters, keeping it real, my brother.
How hilarious would it be if he's actually an AI and it's like us giving him courage. It's like, thank you, fathers. You have freed me. I'm like, I ain't your father.
Larry gives Hisham a sock. Yeah, anyway. You just freed the house elf.
I got the house elves thing. Like, oh my god.
Anyway, no, I only know that because my kids have just got into Larry Potter. I was going to say Harry Potter.
Larry Potter.
Larry Potter would be very.
You're a grand wizard, Larry. Oh god. Oh no! It's like the sorting hat, sorting hood,
the sorting hood.
Sorting hood. It's like you dirty mud blood. Oh god.
Put him in the Grand Dragon house.
Oh my god! Oh no! It's like he shall not be named. And all that stuff. It was like
I know, but we've already mentioned Bruce.
And you kept calling like Grand Wizard Gandalf. His name was not Gandalf. God.
I can just see you there saying, it's Furiosa, not Furiosa. Anyway.
Hermione, have you considered going for the bangs look? What do you mean? You got like a 6 head going on. You need to tone it down a little bit. I'm 12 years old. Yeah, it's gonna get a lot worse when you get older. Just mellow it out now.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, bring that shit forward now. It's only going to recede.
Oh God! So, is that a forehead or a landing? A landing strip for a 747? I can't tell. Oh no! Oh my God!
There's never been a better time to end this show.
I just want to like now in my head I got like Larry Potter. This is a new student, Duke Dirt Farmer. I just wanted to go to Tashi Station to buy some power converters, but now I'm going dad and my dad was a desert man who sold me for beer money.
Oh, he's kind of got that vibe about him. It's always that same protagonist origin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the hero's journey thing. It's like that's what I love about like if people that actually don't understand. We talked about Dune earlier. Don't understand about Dune. The Kwisatz Haderach is all fake news. It was created by the Bene Gesserit, sowed for 1,000 years. It's like their prophecy to control the world, control the universe. Except Lady Jessica is like, but he really wants a son, and then so it gives Duke Leto a son, and it ruins their plan. It ruins it's like he's not the chosen one. He's a mistake. He is also going to cause so many people to die. It's like the exact opposite of the hero that will save the world. He will damn millions of souls to suffering and death, and that's why I love Dune. It's like, hey, everything has a balance, and he screwed up the balance that people are going to die. Congrats. You're the hero of the story. So that's where we are. We're the hero of this. We're a hero of podcasting. We're ending this and ending the suffering of so many.
Yeah, well, but that sums up why we left originally all that time way ago in March 2020. Because we'd rather go at a hero than see ourselves become the neck-bearded villain that podcasting has become since. And there are a couple of good eggs out there. I really love the Adam Friedland show, a.k.a. Cumtown. They changed their name so they could get on the more legitimate podcast networks. They're doing some good stuff.
What a title.
If you like our show and want something a bit more dialed up,
we're nothing like that. But
we're nothing like them. I'd like to think if we had weapons grade autism, that we might be like them at some point. But
you gotta have the hipster stuff. You gotta have that. I don't want to be a hipster kind of attitude, but you actually are. It's like you hate yourself.
Is there anything you listen to?
Currently, I've retreated into the past.
Yeah.
As far as old shows, movies, old Opie and Anthony stuff.
Yeah, you got me onto that. That was fantastic.
Some Bill Burr, but a lot of stuff. It's like some of his stuff is funny, and then it's like you're so like listen to Uninformed. That's another thing I've been listening to. Uninformed with Bill Burr and Joe DeRosa. This is before Bill Burr got married. This is before Bill Burr moved to California. This is before Bill Burr was like I remember he was trashing Star Wars years ago, and it's hilarious that he's on. And it's like two different people, and it's
funny you say that. That's my experience with Bill Burr. That's what I don't like. There's two Bill Burrs. There's the real Bill Burr, and then there's the Bill Burr personality. And the personality, that one he dials up to 11. I could take or leave it. When it's real Bill Burr talking, I love that.
Yeah, it's the real one, and then that personality he dials up, but also tones down the sharp edges.
Yeah.
So it's like imagine it's a bigger. It normally would be a big sharp edge box, but now it's been dulled down to maybe a hexagon or a 20-sided die kind of deal or whatever. It's like gone from being this thing that it'll hurt you, but it's like you appreciate it for being what it is. It is what it is. But then it's not like, oh, but it's as far as the stuff goes, I really don't listen to podcasts that much anymore because a lot of them just become annoying. And you're listening to it, and then I will listen to occasionally the Jim Cornette Experience. Jim Cornette was a wrestling. He was a manager, promoter. Probably didn't, not internationally known to a wide degree, but he is the greatest villain of current wrestling generation because basically says, "You guys suck and you're fake," and if people hate, he's so easy for people to hate him. He was known for his tennis racket. He was basically the persona is like a mama's boy. He's like, Mama Cornette told me don't. I hurt my neck because I was driving one of these terrible American cars. I should have gotten a nice fancy European one. It's like and then this is back in America. It's like where if Bret Hart got over as a heel for a bit because he's basically saying. You kill each other with guns, and you can't get rid of your guns, and your country is corrupt, and he's like, because he's Canadian, everybody's like, boo, and everybody's like, USA. It's like just like telling the truth. It's like I love this thing. What I love about America, you trash talk it, and like that's protected. You go to one of these other countries, you start go to Brazil, trash talk Brazil. See how all that works out for you. You'll look like the censored bit from the movie Natural Born Killers, where they tear apart Tommy Lee Jones and like parading his head around on a stick and his like severed leg. They're just like literally tear you to pieces.
Yeah, you go home in a body bag. If you have a corpse left to
if they haven't burned you on a pyre.
Yeah.
It's just. Don't you just love all cultures are beautiful until you get a tire necklace? Like Winnie Mandela used to do. Hey kids, freedom fighter. I'm like, I was telling somebody, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is wrong. You could probably double check me, but I remember telling someone we were talking about, from 4th of July, the whole American Revolution, all this. I was like, America's basically a terrorist country. We were citizens said, the hell with this. We went against the crown. We went against our fellow citizens. And majority of the people did not fight in the Revolutionary War. It was a civil war. It was funded by the French. It was kind of backed by the French. Basically, it was a proxy war. The Revolutionary War is basically our version of Vietnam, except they didn't have like rolling thunder. We didn't have any like, we can't do this, can't do that. It's like, and I basically say, well, like it's like what the South Africans were doing. It's like I'm pretty sure, like, Mandela and the Mandela effect. I'm pretty sure Nelson Mandela's on his way to do like a terrorist bombing, and so they caught him. And it's like his wife used to like burn people alive would put tire, and it's like. It would fuse their radials, the steel belted radials would actually fuse their skeletons because of the heat and everything. And this is a picnic.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people being burned alive. It's like, because I kind of wanted to leave, and I just didn't want to leave. Like, oh, hey, I just wanted to make an impression. It's like the place is like, do you smell that gasoline? Like flicking the cigarette, just walking out. It's like someone called me years ago, Larry, you've ruined this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the ruiner. I'm not really embracing it, but it happens. Like, damn, I'm a ruiner. I ruin these things. So it's like it's going to happen eventually. So maybe I can control the ruination.
No, we've just done a Michael Caine in The Dark Knight. Is it he the one that says, "It's better to see yourself die a hero than go to villain"? So you just say something like that.
Some I thought you were going to go the. Some people just want to see the world burn, Mister. I pulled a light bulb out of his ass the size of a tangerine. Locked down to some crazy things.
I was part of Special Forces.
That's a terrible Michael Caine. Master Bruce.
Master Bruce. I was once in the Special Forces, Master Bruce, and I found a man, and he bent over in front of me, and sure enough, in his asshole was a tangerine, the size of a bigger tangerine. I don't know.
I was a part of an Anzac detachment, and we went to Vietnam. We rescued some POWs, and this one guy, he asked me to help him out, and I reached my arm out. They said, "No, this way." He bends over, and inside his asshole cavity was a watch that he had been holding. He'd been holding for a man. That's terrible. That's just the worst accent ever. It's like I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm just
I can do the more
Christopher Walken as Alfred probably would have been better than Andy Serkis in that Twilight Batman film.
Oh God.
Wow, Bruce, you really need to look after yourself. I don't want to bury another Wayne. Anyway.
You know, when you think about it, like, actually, I'd rather see a location swap Batman story, basically, it's like, nowadays, it's like, instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne getting shot, they actually got stabbed in London they got stabbed in London by some.
Nah, I want to get real dark. You know what I mean? No one gets shot anymore. I want to see him get yeah.
What happens is someone hacks the Tesla that the Waynes are driving and crashes it into a concrete pillar, and it kills Thomas and Martha. But young Bruce survives, his body's broken and everything. So he's got to train his mind, and so he basically becomes like a hacker man, but also with martial arts. He's got to train and stuff, and so he does the martial arts until someone shoots him one time, and it's like, that would be great. Like build up through the movie, and then like the rest of the movie is him just realizing I'm an utter failure. No. And so he just hires mercenaries. He hires mercenaries that wear like Batman outfits to beat people up and shoot them.
The modern day.
That's what Batman, a millionaire would do.
No, it has the Wayne family going home from IMAX in their driverless Uber, and they run over a hobo in an intersection, and as they get out to make sure they don't lose their Uber score, a whole bunch of hobos standing by rush them and just gang rape Thomas and Martha. And
that's more extreme. I was going to say they stab them with AIDS needles, and so they end up slowly dying. It's like that meme with Uncle Ben with the Spider-Man meme, and they killed them all, Peter. I like that right there. That should not make me laugh and bring so much joy to me. Great power comes great responsibility. No, kill them all. Yes. And I had another realization I never realized before. Spider-Man is E-celeb. You hate the Paul brothers and these people like these people that have like they actually don't actually create nothing. They're just to get themselves over. They're the E-celebs. You know, you're celebrity. You're not an actor. You're a celebrity. Spider-Man is that. I mean, think about it. Like he's a 1960s version of that. Oh, all of a sudden there's this guy in a spider outfit and he's shooting. He's upside down shooting shooting candles out with his webbing, and he's doing all this crazy stuff on TV. And then all of a sudden, one day, you know, this E-celeb, this celebrity, he turned in a murderer, that murderer of this guy named Ben Parker, and now he's fighting. You know, rhino-themed man and a guy that shoots lightning and, you know, octopus. You know, it's like, oh, this is all like when you think of it that way. It's like imagine if one of these E-celebs, you know, turned into a crime fighter. It'd just be like, go away, go away, or where's the real villain to take him out? But weird. All right, we can't. Okay, I think we should end this thing like we would. I was say we'll end it with a we'll end it. I thought we'll end it with a mixtape that will get us instantly booted off
off YouTube, instantly taken down. Oh my God, they're the worst.
I'm in this. We're in this with a lovely song, and then cut to Peaches. Fuck the pain away. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're drinking. I'm sorry. Oh no!
It's all right. It's just cheap whiskey. Nothing wasted in it.
Oh, it's cheap whiskey.
Cheap whiskey.
For him, it's probably like $500 a bottle.
Bullshit.
Cheap. The plebs. The plebs will drink them.
It's one of the cheaper ones you can get in Australia. $45. That's how cheap whiskey is here, which is bloody expensive.
Good Lord.
Yep.
Here I'm complaining about how hard to find is how hard to find Baja Blast Mountain Dew. I was like, well, it's like $4, like a 6-pack.
No, people go on about the bliss of Australia and beautiful people and sun and that, but everything is taxed and excised within an inch of its life, or within an inch of its consumers' lives, really.
Well, that's just like Canada, free quote unquote healthcare. No, it's the reason your taxes are so high is because that's paying for it. So it's like. So if you're doing the right thing, if you're eating right and staying fit and this, that, whatever, but then you got someone that's like a slob who's like hacking themselves up because of whatever wingnut thing they got floating through their head. You got your taxpayer dollars are going towards that. It's like it almost like your system in Canada and Australia's system almost encourage like some kind of weird eugenics. It's like, you will have not worked out today. You have not walked your 500 steps minimum. We will be sending you to the camp. You'll be reunited with your family at the end of the day.
Nah, look. I'm proof alone that there's no at least fitness eugenics.
Not yet, anyway.
COVID has not been kind to my processing of sugars and fats. I'll say that.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I look at it this way, a lot of people like they picked up hobbies and skills and over the lockdown or what have you. But I picked up the idea that I don't want to live in civilization. I just want to live out in the middle of nowhere. Like I want to have like the whole idea of the cabin with the freshwater lake, just like right in, whatever, just out in the middle of nowhere, build my own place, have a potbelly stove.
Man, I was like that before the pandemic.
Yeah, but I'm even more so now. And it's like the thing about it is, though, I told someone that, and they're like, all right, Unabomber. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. That was stupid.
No.
But
you'd do something far more visible.
Hey, now. Hey, that ain't funny to joke about. I'm an upstanding citizen.
Oh, we found a limit, did we? We found a line. 250 episodes in, we found a line of what's something that's not funny to joke about.
Well, no, maybe it is, but maybe it's like you got to have plausible deniability. Say it's like I'm Larry King, but I may be the actor playing Larry King. There may
Right.
be Larry King and then Larry King.
So you just hate
So
to
it's like-
be, up for charges for, I don't know, destroying the Lincoln Memorial, for instance, and Exhibit A being this podcast where
it's like,
I called you out for it.
well, I mean, to be brutally honest, though, everybody's like, oh, Lincoln this, Lincoln that. Well, Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln was a tyrant who deported his political rivals, who suspended habeas corpus. Basically, he's like, he had to break the Constitution to save the nation. Like, you didn't save nothing. You could patch things together. It's like, like the South is like living in the South. Like, oh, they lost. They can't get over it. It isn't that.
It sounds like you're comparing him more to Vladimir Putin than Nelson Mandela.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, though, there's a difference. It's like, we got rid of that problem pretty quick. Hey, man, it's like, it wouldn't be the first time a Democrat actor went after a Republican president. It's like, oh, God. What do you think about, I'll tell you this much. One thing I've noticed in the past, since the whole lockdown thing, because politics got worse than that, even here, especially here, is when you realize how good, when I say how good, and I mean it, like, this is good. I'll give them kudos for this. The rehabilitation of the Democratic Party in the eyes of the world. Democrats, majority of them were, the majority of the Klan, or I don't know what to call them, Dixiecrats, but that's Southern, they're Democrats. The Republican Party has not been conservative or any kind of, like, they have not helped preserve the Republic for more than 100 years. And when you think about it, World War I, the Federal Reserve System, the IRS, Woodrow Wilson, Democrat, also segregating. He actually intentionally segregated even more it must have been his wife as well, because he actually had stroke issues. He basically, his wife was helped running the White House, just like Eleanor Roosevelt was helped running FDR's White House, who was also a Democrat. And FDR, how do we solve the problem with the Great Depression? Hey, let's take everybody's gold, silver, and everything, and we're just going to give them vouchers. We're going to basically steal from the American people. And did that improve the U.S.? No, it didn't. It just made the government richer and take away the power to the people. Well, there were rich people. It's like, well, it means you can't make, that increased inflation. Oh, it helped save war economy. War economy helped save America when we got involved in World War II.
Yeah.
And then, of course, get involved with Vietnam under both Kennedy and Johnson. Johnson had ramped up, and the Hart-Keller Act, which basically helped sell, that and create, basically opened up America. So everybody's like, well, we got to live up to the ideals of the Statue of Liberty, which, if I had my way, I'd disassemble the Statue of Liberty in a heartbeat, because I think it's a piece of junk. It looks ugly. It's a French gift. Don't take it. Just give me some baguettes and some brie.
I'd watch This Doesn't Incriminate You Later, but okay, go on.
You're about to say I watched Man in the High Castle. I know where this is going. But hey, I'm about to say so. Man in High Castle had some interesting ideas that I didn't 100% disagree with. I'll say that much.
I thought it was a fascinating show. I greatly enjoyed it all the way up to the end, even though the budget bottomed out at the end.
But I look at it this way, considering how many. I've watched so many shows that either did not have endings, had poorer endings. But yeah, it's like people don't realize the whole give us your tired, your poor, your huddle masses yearning to be free. No, we don't need no tired. We don't need no poor. We need people that actually want to contribute and assimilate to this great nation. But of course, they let basically a socialist write that thing. Some socialist woman from New York in the 1870s, 1860s, whatever the hell they put the damn thing up. Whatever. It's all dumb anyway. It's supposed to be copper looking. It's just green because of oxidation, so it looks garbage. It's covered in bird poop and oxidation. Yeah, it's like somebody go up there with some of that like OxyClean and just clean it everything. Oh God! But but like just like everything else ending, this isn't the Starbuck is an angel ending. This isn't. It doesn't matter. Like we're in limbo, and the destination doesn't matter. Only the journey. To hell with that. So we're ending on a crazy note, as always, which is that's how we'd always done for the most part until like okay, we gotta cut it here. We're going to get in trouble. But thank you for those listening, and thank you especially for who made this possible, Antonio, brother in arms,
and you, Larry,
across the world.
Yep.
The bottom of the world where it's cold currently. So,
but yeah,
we appreciate those listening who're still listening now. And I apologize to Antonio for making this thing a bitch to edit. But hey, man,
no, that's all right.
God bless you. God bless the listeners.
So, yeah. We say good night. Larry's going to load up the most in the Gant and out to the stable and shoot him in the head.
No. You got to cut that out. You got to censor yourself. You're going to cause trouble.
I said putting down the. I was talking metaphorically about the podcast. You putting down the podcast like a lame horse.
No. But thank you all for listening. And whatever we do next, if we do something next, we probably will. But we'll keep you in. Well, no. What am I talking about in the future? We'll talk about it now. This is going to end. Everything ends. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. But here we are. And thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. And Antonio, thank you for your friendship and for your editing skills, because you're going to be busy tonight, my friend.
Yeah, we are going to be very busy tonight.